I really want to rewatch Frankenstein's Monsters, Frankenstein. And I don't know why I just haven't done it, but I really do.
What?
Do you not remember that? It's like a 45-minute short, or maybe even like 30-something minute short, starring David Harbour and a bunch of and a slew of other people. I'm gonna turn me down a little bit. I'm a little hot.
It's on Netflix.
Yeah, it was a Netflix original. Excuse me.
Jeez, right in there.
Frankenstein's Monsters, Frankenstein. I love that name because you can really dissect it. Because it's Dr. Frankenstein's monster, but it's the monster's monster who is then Dr. Frankenstein.
David Harbour, an actor, stumbles upon his father's televised stage play footage. However, he delves deeper into it and uncovers certain family secrets.
Yeah, it's completely kind of absurd and ridiculous. Like, it's all just a giant joke. It's in the same vein as like what like The Mighty Boosh. Not that crazy. Maybe more. It has that style, that sense of humor, like a Matt Berry type of thing. You know what I mean when I say that? Like the IT Crowd.
Or Netflix Playhouse
British, I guess.
feature.
Yeah.
This looks very strange. Well,
I'm pretty sure you watched it.
No.
Because when it came out, you, me, and a friend all watched it. I don't know if I should say her name. Friend that we used to work with at the pizza place that we were talking about earlier. Because she really liked it.
I'd never seen this.
Well, we're going to watch it.
I'm kind of okay.
To not?
Yeah.
No.
I'm kind of okay.
No.
This doesn't look like my jam.
I think you would actually... I don't think you're going to be like... It would be like mind-blowingly great. But I think you would actually you would find the humor in it.
It's going to casually pull out my PlayStation portal. And
I'm going to tie you up.
Wow. This got dark.
And
This is Tommy.
And I'm going to do
This is Tommy.
Jacob with
This is Tommy.
Harry Styles turns me off.
Why?
He just turns me off.
A lot of people would disagree with you.
I know.
Wholeheartedly.
Welcome
Hi,
back,
everybody. Welcome back. This is TJ's Mixtape. I'm Tommy. That's Jacob. We're a movie review podcast. We like movies. We're friends. We like to talk about them. We talk about who made them, why they were made, some themes, kind of go through the actors and all that jazz, and end it with a rating. The rating is arbitrary, but it's a good way to put an end to it. And today we are starting a block of recent box office flops.
Floppity flap, flap,
And
flap.
kind of going in and deciding on, in our opinion, if it is justified, or sometimes you watch something and you're like, I don't get why this is so popular, or I don't get why this is so hated.
Like Harry Styles.
Yeah. I don't get why he's so hated.
Is he really hated?
I have no idea.
I think he's commonly, that's not the word, loved. Or I don't know.
Universally.
That's the word.
Yeah. I don't know any. I think it makes catchy music.
Sure. I couldn't tell you what. I mean, you could play me a Harry Styles song and I'd be like, cool. I didn't know that was Harry Styles.
Yeah, I'm like that with a lot of people.
Yeah. And we're both like that with a lot of people.
Like Ariana Grande. I don't know. I'd sing a song.
I feel like I would be able to recognize her voice.
Popular. I know that's her. Well, she did a cover. I don't know what you'd consider.
She
a rendition.
Performed it?
Performed it. A rendition of it. Anyways, so we're starting off with a movie I had been curious about. 2024's remake, reboot, whatever of The Crow.
Rewind.
What?
Movie connection.
Oh, right. Rewind.
Put me in, coach.
So if you're new, we do a movie connection game. It's like the 5 Degrees of Separation from Kevin Bacon, but we pick 2 different people and then see what connects them via movie and co-star wise.
Yeah, what was it from last week?
Keira Knightley to Joe Pesci.
Keira Knightley, Joe Pesci. You would think maybe they've been in a movie together, but no, they haven't.
Yeah, weird, right?
They kind of feel like they, at some point, maybe. Like they both.
I didn't find it though.
No, they haven't. I'm saying. But it's the style, the types of movies that they both do. Like, because Keira Knightley's a little bit all over the place. She's like she's in like not rom-com, but like romantic period, and she's British. But then she's also done like Domino, and like she's done some like more grittier stuff as well. And Joe Pesci, who's
Silent Night.
Yeah. And she's done some comedy as well.
I really recommend Silent Night. Not the one we reviewed, the English one.
We didn't review one. We reviewed Violent Night.
Yeah.
But there's that other Silent Night that was really bad.
Not that one. Not the
one with
not that one.
Not the guy from I forget his name, from Altered Carbon.
Yeah, not Rick Flag. Whatever his name is. But
Sexy boy.
The British one. It's great. It was cool.
Anyway,
it's depressing.
So you start off with yours because mine's long.
Okay. So I see. How do we do this? So
sorry.
Keira Knightley in Pirates of the Caribbean with Johnny Depp and Donnie Brasco with Al Pacino and The Irishman with Joe Pesci.
Boom. I didn't know that Al Pacino was in. What was the movie with Johnny Depp?
Donnie Brasco.
Oh, yeah. I've never seen Donnie Brasco.
Really?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
I remember it being good.
Is Donnie Brasco a real person? Is that based on a real person?
He's an undercover infiltrator of the mob. Like
is this his continuation of 21 Jump Street?
I remember
he did 21 Jump Street the movie.
I remember really liking it, but I say that now realizing the only thing I really remember is that when he was going to go undercover, they made him shave off his mustache, and he's like, I don't want to shave off my mustache. And they're like, well, you have to. And they're like, why? And he's like, name me a wise guy that has a mustache. They don't do that. They don't do beards. They don't do mustaches. They do clean shave, and you have to shave off your mustache. And I just remembered that scene being kind of like, oh, that's actually a pretty good point. They don't really ever have.
If you're going undercover, you're gonna fucking do it right.
Yeah, and they slick back his hair, and
All right, you ready for mine?
Yeah.
Because it's long, and I did look up on IMDb, and I found the one person connection. It's kind of like he's like a side character thing. All right, so Keira Knightley is in King Arthur with Clive Owen. Clive Owen is in Children of Men with Michael Caine. Michael Caine is in the Prestige with Scarlett Johansson. Scarlett Johansson is in The Perfect Score with Chris Evans. Chris Evans is in Scott Pilgrim with Kieran Culkin, who is in Home Alone with Joe Pesci.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the other one? Your one connection.
So Keira is in this movie called London Boulevard and in the Pirates movies with this guy named Stephen Graham, who if you looked at him, you'd recognize him.
Who is he in the Pirates movie?
He's one of the pirates, like the side pirates. I forget. I forgot to write down the name, but he actually has like a name. And he's one of the probably random mobsters in Irishman with Joe Pesci.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you see him?
Yeah, I know him.
Yeah. It's like he's like one of he's got the face, the guy with the face.
Yeah.
But I was like impressed with that 5 connection one. I had fun doing that too.
So what was it again? It was Stephen Graham to what?
Irishman.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's funny. Cool. All right.
Yeah, and we will do it. We'll say 2 more actors at the end of this to connect,
and then play the game again.
You see, it's fun. I didn't even look up IMDb for that 5-person one. I tried not to use IMDb at all.
Yeah, I've given up on that.
Yeah, I think it's just fun because like if you can find it in 1 or 2 without IMDb, awesome. But if you start struggling, then it's kind of like, all right, let's fucking keep this map together.
Well, it goes back to the watch list thing. I like doing it on IMDb because I remember movies. I'm like, oh yeah, I wanted to watch that. And I add it to my list. So back to the meat of the episode.
Yeah, that was
we
a long
are
talk.
doing the 2024 remake reboot thing of The Crow.
Oh, can I distract you again? I don't want to talk about it.
I do want to talk about it because I think there is an interesting conversation.
There is an interesting conversation.
For those that don't know what The Crow is, and I kind of think from what our things tell us that everyone listening does know The Crow.
Not necessarily.
But The Crow, a man and a woman are brutally murdered only for the man to arise as a vengeful undead. And that's kind of the gist of it.
That's the gist of the legacy of
the franchise. People. So the whole idea is that if you're murdered or if you're killed in a state of such grief, the crows, which ferry souls to the land of the dead, the soul is too heavy and returns to earth and can only find peace once the conflict around their death is resolved.
Conflict resolution.
Yes. And that has been every single one of these movies has had that be the main thing.
Even all of the like spans of comics and stuff.
Yes, that is the whole idea. It's a big old metaphor for grief and resolution.
Yeah.
And then we had this one.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to go ahead and say you didn't like it.
It was not a good movie.
It was pretty. The music was cool. But it lacked any kind of substance, really, which is only a bummer, especially I always want to say I'm not going to do it, but I'm just going to lean into it. The first one is such a cult iconic.
It is so iconic.
And it really nails that theme of grief and resolution.
Yeah.
And the only one that, in my opinion, that's come close to even getting that again right was the second one, and that's because they changed the dynamic just a little bit and made it a father and son instead of a lovers thing. And not unrequited love. That's the wrong one. True love.
No.
True love.
I'm just imagining Eric's Raven.
Billy Crystal comes out of nowhere. Ain't gonna happen in this movie.
Liar! Liar!
He said to bluff.
I don't know. It's I love that. It's I can't remember the word. God damn it! I'm so bad at this.
Yeah, but I got totally distracted. But yeah, so true love versus, and then there was this parental love, which it was just a really good idea at the time. The movie I know is polarized and people that like it or not. I liked it for that reason because it was cool to see a father. The
second one.
Yeah. So those two, and then everything else kind of fell off the rails. And this is just now, and that's what the problem is that this legacy coming from 1994 to now has kind of become this off the rails, kind of lost trajectory.
A weird thing that a lot of people had, like with them remaking this one, like Alex Proyas or Proyas, I can't remember his name, from the first one. He was kind of like unsure about them remaking this story of the Crow because of the legacy of Brandon Lee. And that's kind of like one of the big things of that original Crow. And if you're not familiar, Brandon Lee unfortunately lost his life in a gun accident, in a stunt accident while filming it. Majority of the film was already done. So it was like they were able to edit and like release the film. But it's it's Hollywood lore, it's like almost everybody, if you don't know about it, then you're maybe too young. Pretty much anybody our age knows kind of the story of Brandon Lee and the Crow. But and that's why it's like,
isn't he buried here too?
Yeah, he's buried with Bruce.
Oh, he was 28.
Yeah, he was super young.
Oh, he just missed the club.
Yeah.
I was like, was he part of the 27 Club? No.
And let's get in a little bit of just like the creator, James O'Barr, the creator of the comics.
Yes, the original comics, James O'Barr, which I didn't know, actually created it in
1989.
In 1989, but
81,
Lou to deal with his own grief about his fiance passing away from a drunk driver accident.
I missed that. I didn't catch that when I was reading stuff.
So that situation happened, and then he enlisted in the Marines and thought that the structure and stuff would kind of help him through this period, and then ended up creating the Crow to kind of go through his own stuff.
Yeah, that's inspiring.
Yeah, it's really sad, but it's kind of interesting, that it's not cool. It's cool to see someone taking something like this and manifesting it into something really tangible and physical that became really popular with people.
Yeah.
And it really attracted people because of the black and white and the, the Cure music video vibe of it.
Yeah, right. And that's so out of curiosity, I have the graphic novel of his original.
Yeah.
It's one of the kitchen press prints of it from 1995. So one of the early, I think it's like a third edition print. Mm-hmm. And I just out of curiosity, I was like opening up that just kind of like look at the difference between what we just watched, what the original source material was, and then my memory of the Brandon Lee movie. Yeah. And it seems that they were grabbing things because James O'Barr was like a creative consultant on this movie. And the big thing is that the original idea of this was to follow the comic book more accurately than the Brandon Lee one.
Uh-huh.
And it's a weird mixed bag of both. Of like the content of the man in the in between world or whatever is a representation of a character in the graphic novel, which is Skull Cowboy, who is like this middleman that is working with Eric, or that pretty much keeps Eric thinking sad thoughts, pretty much.
It's his spirit guide.
Yeah.
I mean, they all...
in a dark way.
Spawn has one. Like, every
Yeah.
one of these undead characters, you need a spirit guide
And so
kind of thing.
the sneaky guy, that's what when he like just appeared behind and he kind of looks almost-ish like John Turturro. I was like, sneaky.
Like, if I hadn't seen John Turturro in a really long time, and like I see it
From a distance, I was like,
yeah.
is that John Turturro? Oh no, it's
he
not.
kind of
Okay.
he kind of looks similar to him.
Especially with the like with John
With the
Turturro with the beard, like
beard,
in Transformers, yeah.
Yeah. No, I see the similarity between
Yeah.
their look.
He's that, and then there's the whole like the backstory with the horse and the broken family, which is Eric Draven from the graphic novel. They didn't explore in the Brandon Lee one, but the Brandon Lee one really keeps the aesthetic because it's closer in time of like the late 80s, early 90s grungy
rock scene.
Okay, so it's not grunge rock scene. In that,
Well, I don't mean I mean like grungy. Like
Yeah, it's grungy.
It's dirty
Yeah.
and kind of
yeah, because grunge rock scene is like flannel and
yeah. It's gritty. That's better. It's
gritty is very much
Yeah,
very
it's very
good word,
gritty.
yeah. But like, look, it's like this is like the eyeliner and the tight leather pants and
the tight black shirt.
it's like typo negative put on it into a person in a way, not minus the vampire.
Well, I was gonna say
Or Stabbing Westward. That's a really good one. I don't know if you know
no.
Stabbing Westward at all.
Is it a vampire movie?
No, it's a band
Oh,
that has this aesthetic. And I'm pretty sure Stabbing Westward has a song in The Crow, the first one.
well, that's one thing too. Actually, the music in both of them are good.
Yeah, and it's they fit their aesthetic,
Yeah.
their time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess.
So let's get into this one now, right?
Yeah,
Because we'll do a lot of comparisons throughout, I'm sure.
yeah, yeah.
So our director of this one, of the 2024 title, is Rupert Sanders, who, once I knew who he was, I kind of was like, okay, I kind of see what the direction here is.
I hadn't seen any of his stuff.
Ghost in the Shell.
I never watched it.
Oh, you didn't?
No,
I think
it didn't look good.
It's not. It's not.
Yeah.
But I think if you're a fan, I think it's one of those, if you're a fan of the source material, it's always interesting to look at what they're going to do with it.
What's interesting is because I'm such a fan of the source material, I didn't want to watch it because it didn't look like it was going to do a good adaptation.
No, but it will
of
just make you love the source material more, I think.
That's fair.
You know what I mean? And it was, especially Ghost in the Shell gets a lot of flack for there's obvious reasons.
Whitewashing, yeah.
But I think the stunts were cool.
Fair.
And that's kind of what at that point, what it became, you're not watching it for the story or the idea of the Ghost in the Shell, or it's completely, it lost its, just like this, it kind of lost its identity a lot. And
I wonder if that's what Rupert Sanders was good at doing.
Snow White and the
Taking
Huntsman.
its identity away.
And
Stripping it.
Snow White and the Huntsman.
I
is
never
the other
saw
thought.
that, but that's based more on the actual like German tale of Snow White. Like
No idea. I've just heard mediocre things
okay.
about it.
He's also directed some music videos. I saw.
Yeah. You could tell that. Very stylized, very
that's fair,
music
yeah.
video looking.
Mm-hmm.
And then an episode of Foundation, which just sounded
Because I will say this movie is pretty.
yeah, it's visually cool. The music is cool.
Well, it's dark pretty.
Yeah, it's like neon lights and the Vampire Club. You know, it's Blade. There were a lot of moments that reminded me of Blade.
I'm so deep and emotional.
Gotham is my city. I will say that I really do think Bill actually would have been a good Bruce Wayne Batman. Now that I'm like looking at him in this,
Yeah.
I stand by that. Just get him a little more, just a little more. Get like very swimmer's bod. Let's get him a little more, and then there you go.
What if he's an adult Terry? Did I just make you think about some stuff?
No, I'm just thinking like maybe
Maybe him younger would have been a great.
he'd been good in Nightwing.
Oh yeah,
Nightwing has always been very. No, you're right. I think Terry's better. But yes, so that's Rupert.
And then we have our two writers. That one person has stuff, and the other person
Not really.
Yeah,
Yeah, so our first is Zach Baylin, who pretty good actually. King Richard, Creed 3, Gran Turismo.
this is kind of the only bomb. which makes me wonder.
I gotta stop abbreviating, man.
What?
BM1 Love? BML Love?
Are you talking about
Something that Zach...
Is that a Korean band?
Zach... BMI Love. Zach Baylin, BM... I don't know.
And then we got William Joseph Schneider. Credited, I think, is William Schneider. His only other credit is something maybe coming out called Return to Silent Hill.
Yeah, I don't... And, like, if you look at the synopsis on IMDb, it's just the synopsis of Silent Hill.
Yeah, Silent Hill 2.
Well, yeah. And you're just kind of like, so what is this?
Yeah, right? What's interesting is, like, when reading in the production is this remake was in production hell.
Dude.
For, like, what, 2 decades?
Yeah, from, like, 2008, I think it started, or 2004.
Even
it was
before that.
No. Yeah, 2008. Announced to Variety he planned to write and direct a reinvention of The Crow, 1989. So...
For like a decade and a half.
And it's like we hear from doing this podcast and stuff, we've seen situations like this that took 4 or 6 years to finally get developed. 2008 to 2024, you're kind of like, scrap it, dude.
And they went
scrap it.
It's like there was talks of with Bradley Cooper being him.
That's what's crazy about it. It's so long that you could look at the ages of like when they were the leading
Jason Momoa. Alexander Skarsgård, his older brother,
Mark Wahlberg, Alexander Skarsgård, Bradley Cooper, like all these guys that, you know, like granted they're still like leading man material, but they're not the 30-year-old action guy that's going to come back from the dead to avenge his girlfriend. That's how long. You can see the decades of when these guys were those guys, and then they all get fizzled out because he just got a little too old for it. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of
director
crazy.
After director and writer between writer, and then finally at some point in like 2020 or 2021 it was when Sanders and Baylin were sent out to fucking do this. That's why I feel like this might have just been like we need to just do it.
Well,
Put somebody on it. Just write me something.
Additional rumors of Channing Tatum, Ryan Gosling, James McAvoy, which I think...
James McAvoy would have been great.
Actually,
I was thinking about that. Because everyone else, I'm like, too pretty. Jason Momoa would have been interesting. Like, you know what I mean by like too pretty.
Yeah, well, because like James McAvoy and... What was the other one? Mark Wahlberg, I feel like could have gotten that. Mark Wahlberg would have been kind of annoying, but I was thinking about Mark... What was that fucking
I'm here to kill you now. You murdered my wife.
You killed Shelley. you killed Shelley.
I like how that's like our impersonation of him, regardless of what, knowing that he can do shit like fear and just be completely like
no,
terrifying.
it's funnier to think. Like they totally killed my girlfriend.
I got my friend, my teddy bear over here.
Well, this is a terrible example, and I think it's a deep cut for people. But when I thought of Mark Wahlberg, I thought of that terrible. I liked it. It's terrible. I know it's terrible, but I think it's fun popcorn movie. The Max Payne live action.
I never saw it.
Did you ever play them?
I watched my friend Trey play them.
It's that thing. It's that thing that we always talk about slapping on the title, and and that doesn't. I know that bugs you. That doesn't bug me. So it's not. It's not Max Payne. It's like just a fucking cop revenge movie, which are a dime a dozen. But I'm thinking about like Mark Wahlberg and that.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, I can see it, you know.
Well, yeah. So between the writers, it's just this movie had a weird production history, which I think that's kind of what hurt it in the end. Is there was too many distributors or producers, studios, words. Studio trying to get it made, and just finally they pulled the trigger and they forced it. No, wrong metaphor for this one. Pulled the trigger. What?
No, I just do not hear that clicking. Was that you?
Yeah.
No.
I smacked my lips a little bit.
Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
Bad metaphor.
Why is it bad? It's so focused.
Pulled the trigger.
Yeah,
Brandon Lee.
Oh, well, okay. I mean...
I forgot to explain it. Maybe it's not that bad.
I don't think it's that bad.
Anywho, poor choice of words somewhere, I guess.
It would have been bad choice of words if we were doing the 1994 one. Then it would have been.
The legacy of the film still. But it just feels like it was rushed. And I think that might have been what the issue with this really was. So, yeah, let's get into starring and then we can...
Yeah. Okay, I want to get into that part. So our lead, who plays Eric...
Bill Skarsgård. I've seen a lot of his stuff actually.
I have too. I didn't realize that. And I was like, oh, I do like
I
you.
like him a lot too. I think he's a great actor. I will say in this, I don't know if it was the editing. It's probably the script. He didn't really sell. There's moments that it was like he's selling it for me, and then like he just delivers some lines where I'm just like, was that the right take?
Well, the problem is that this whole franchise is about, like we said, grief and acceptance and, you know, finding peace. You didn't give a shit about the couple, so it's really hard to care about them being murdered.
We'll talk about that later.
But that kind of goes into what you're saying is they didn't they didn't sell it, you know. But it's I still think Bill was. I think Bill was
great. Also, really, if you he's Pennywise in It. He was recently in Nosferatu as Count Olok.
Boy Kills World, which was fun as fuck.
I really want to see that.
That's so fun.
And Barbarian.
Yeah, Boy Kill. If you're looking for a Mortal Kombat ass movie that's not Mortal Kombat, it's
fair. Is that the one where he has the internal monologue? That's
John H. Benjamin.
Yeah. Okay. I really wanted to see that actually.
Good. Just that's so funny.
Yeah.
And his physicality is great. Like him doing the fighting and just.
I didn't know how ripped he was. No idea.
And like,
he's like shirtless almost this entire movie. You know, half the movie.
Yeah, and when Boy Kills World too, he's really like naked most of the time. But and it's funny too because you know what it does. Actually, the humor reminds me of Look Who's Talking.
Oh, Boy Meets World.
Because of the I think that if I remember correctly, most of the characters assume he can hear. Like they just don't ever discuss that he is deaf. So they're talking to him and he doesn't know how to read lips. So he's just going off their body language and agreeing to things like this scene. Yeah, they're like, that's good, right? And he's like, yeah, it's great. And then you as the audience know that he's agreeing to something terrible, but he just doesn't understand. And then it's John H. Benjamin doing the Bruce Willis thing of just, it sounds like he's just commenting on the footage. I don't know. It's really fun.
I really want to watch it.
Yeah, so highly recommend it. Yeah, that's Bill, and I think he was a good casting for this. I just don't think the script was very good.
I agree.
Because he's pretty great, you know. He's a good transforming actor.
Very transformative.
So,
FKA Twigs,
who plays our Shelley, an English songwriter, dancer, performer.
She was in Honey Boy, where
I saw that.
Met ex-boyfriend Shia LaBeouf.
That's what that was. I was like, Honey Boy sounds so familiar.
Really? It's that's a good movie. Written, directed by Shia LaBeouf.
What's the other one? The
Peanut Butter Falcon?
Yeah.
Came out kind of similar.
Yeah, around the same time. I get those two.
Now, Honey Boy is the semi-autobiographical
about his life,
right. His childhood, and he plays as a father. It's one giant just fucking therapy session for Shia LaBeouf, pretty much.
Sounds like he needs it.
Well, that was the beginning. That's where it started.
All right, moving on from Shy.
Then I got Danny Huston, who we did in Marie Antoinette.
Who plays our bad guy?
Who's that very...
Children of Men.
He's the bad guy.
He is Children of Men, X-Men, 30 Days a Night.
30 Days a Night is great.
That's just a cool movie. I don't give a fuck. That's one of those hills I'd die on. If they're like, the movie's bad, I'd be like, no, it's not.
The way that they were able to capture the stylized nature of the comic book in that movie is what's really cool.
Well, that's the thing. I think that if you know that, you probably appreciate it more. It's like Sin City in that way.
That's fair.
It really pulls it off the page, you know? Mm-hmm. Like From Hell, not really.
No, but they were...
That's too period PC.
No, they kind of, in a way.
I disagree.
No, in some of the cinematic shots... I can see what they were trying to do.
Yeah, they didn't really pull it, though.
Yeah.
Like 300, Sin City, 30 Days a Night are like three examples of just it. They blew, you know.
Hulk.
Huh? Hulk?
Yeah, they have the comic book.
The Eric Bonner one?
Yeah. They really pulled it from the page.
I have to rewatch that again.
I own it.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
I have to watch that again.
Yeah, Hulk's one of my favorite comic book characters of all time, actually.
I just don't remember that movie being good.
Is
that Michael Bay? No, it's
Ang Lee.
Ang Lee, right?
Yeah.
I was like, it's someone crazy.
That one that has a crazy production history too.
Well, that also has that fucking panel thing.
That's what I was talking about. Yeah, take it right off the page. They literally took you right off the page.
That's not what we mean. It's a cop out. If we put panels in it, it'll be a comic book.
And
movie.
Jennifer Connelly.
That's true. I mean, Jennifer Connelly is a babe. That's all I wrote because
I put down Laura Byrne just in case because she's the other girl, but female bat antagonist. But I didn't see any movie that she was in that I'd recognize her from.
So, yeah, that's it. Do you want to get into reviews so we can actually start talking about it?
Yes.
All right, so give us our scores while I pull those up.
Oh, yeah, that's a thing I do. Oh, man. All right. IMDb. This has got a 4.7. On Rotten Tomatoes, it's got a 22% tomato meter and a 62% popcorn.
Wow.
I was like, what?
Well, that alone, doing this remake in general is such a bad idea because the original has such a fan base that is loved.
And that's what the director was talking about. I was like, maybe this shouldn't happen because of Brandon Lee's legacy. It's such a beloved movie. Like,
you're never gonna make them happy.
Yeah.
You're swimming
unless
upstream.
you somehow like literally do the graphic novel from the page type thing, which they kind of already did with the first one. And it's like, there's literally like, I was looking through that graphic through it. There's literal panels. I was like, oh, I saw that in the Brandon Lee. Like,
I've never read it.
I've tried. Oh, but just flip through it and you'll see what I'm talking about. But so unless they really do that, I don't think it can happen.
Well, and I don't think
people are going to receive. I don't think people are going to receive it.
No, and that's the thing is, I think no matter what, I really honestly I would put money on this. No matter what you do with certain properties, this being one of them, they're not going to be happy. Yeah. They're not going to. There's certain ones you just do not touch, and this is one of them.
I mean, if anything, it's like and James O'Barr has written all of these different iterations of the Crow. There's the French Crow. There's like he continued creating.
Because it's the Batman thing. It's a symbol. Yeah, it's a symbol. It doesn't have to be Eric.
The Crow isn't just Eric Draven's story.
With Shelley, it's not. It's not about them.
It's multiple people, and the Crow is the resurrection. You know. So if they wanted, like, I could see them continuing on with the sequels and whatnot. As bad as they got, at least they weren't trying to keep Eric Draven's story going.
Yeah, no, well, that's what the only thing that I've ever really given them any kind of credit for is that they're doing the spirit of the Crow. It has nothing to do with Eric and Shelley. It is again the vessel for grief. That is what the story we're trying to tell, and. So I think this is something you just don't touch. And I remember thinking that when they first announced this remake thing, I was like, I don't think that's going to go well. And then I saw that Bill was attached to it, and I was like, maybe.
And then he quickly was like, I don't want to be attached anymore.
And then I saw him look all fucking Jared Leto, Joker looking,
all tattooed up.
And I was like, oh.
Machine Gun Kelly.
I was like, oh no. Oh no. Okay. So on Metacritic, this has a 30, which comes to generally unfavorable, with 3 positive, 8 mixed, and 20 negative.
Please tell me what that positive is.
So the top positive, the highest goes to 68, which is also crazy. But the one I picked was, where is he? This I gave it a 63 by Mark Kennedy, the Associated Press. In his attempt to give new life to the cult hero of comics and film, Sanders has given us plenty of beauty at the expense of depth of coherence. That's
true. I still don't think it should have that high of a score. But
and then this one, so the mix that I picked, and I think she nailed it on the head with a 50 at Consequence by Liz Shannon Miller. The real problem, sadly, comes down to the script and execution, along with a failure to tackle the one big questions all reboots really ought to answer. Why this story, and why now? Why did we need a new take on The Crow after all these years? Just having the rights to the IP isn't a good enough reason, and yet sometimes it feels like that's the only reason a movie like this gets made.
Yes.
Boom. Nailed it.
Yes. That's... Dude.
We could end the episode there.
I just want to shake their hand. Thank you very much for saying everything.
And then
Hallelujah.
And then the very, very bottom with a 0 by Roger Moore at Movie Nation. This picture never overcomes a general heartlessness that permeates even the abrupt romance that supposedly launches and drives it.
Yeah.
I liked this one by Barry Hertz. Incoherent and cheap, with the aesthetic sensibilities seemingly crippled from an elevator pitch of John Wick goes goth. Sanders' version of The Crow is truly ugly thing to endure. John Wick Goes Goth is pretty. It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Even into the point of like, I remember I tried watching the fourth John Wick and couldn't sit through it. I was like, yeah, they actually. It's kind of is like that in a lot of ways.
Well, okay. Are you ready? Are you done?
Mm-hmm.
Are we ready? The biggest thing, other than the incoherent script, well, that's probably the biggest thing, really. But the thing that really took away a lot from me was this switch of what Eric Draven's drive was, because it went from the original was a revenge story.
Yes.
This is a hero complex.
Yes.
He's now trying to save her life instead of just
getting revenge. Yes. Well, because then it's like, she has, because they added this whole kind of supernatural element. They started adding to the second and on, of the kind of fun thing about The Crow is the bad guys don't really know what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
So they keep killing this dude and he keeps
coming
popping
back,
out, and they're like, what the fuck? And then the second one, they start introducing that even the bad guys are getting in touch with this supernatural aspect. So I think that alone really changed the narrative once we found out that the big bad guy was in league with Satan or some form of dark entity.
Demonic powers.
Demonic power. You're kind of like, well, that's not fun.
Yeah.
Like, it's like the John Wick thing. It's like, we're watching this for the person to get even. That's what it is. That's what a revenge movie is. And the second that we kind of put in this big bad wolf bad guy that is just as powerful as our immortal hero, you kind of like, well, it kind of takes the power fantasy away.
Exactly. And what's interesting is, like, from doing the research of finding out that this was supposed to be a more honest adaptation from the original source material, the only characters from that are Eric Draven, Shelley, and a reimagining of Skull Cowboy.
Well, and even then, I don't think they ever even say his last name. This is just Eric and Shelley. I don't think they ever call him Eric Draven. You know what I mean?
And
which is probably a smart
because, like,
move.
and again, just going back to Brandon Lee one, all of the mobsters and people that killed Shelley and killed Eric, name for name, the same from the graphic novel. None of those characters exist.
Oh, like Fun Boy and those guys?
They're those are characters in the graphic novel.
Okay.
There's none of that. None of them. And none of them, I skimmed through the graphic novel. I never finished reading it. I've had it since I was a fucking teenager, and I've never fucking fully read it all the way through.
I don't know what it is. I'm just not really interested in it. I like the movie a lot, but I'm not interested in the source material. Which is so weird.
There is none of them even end up having any type of, like, supernatural power, and I was kind of wondering if maybe the demonic thing that the guy has, the main bad guy in this, was more of like an aristocrat motherfucker, whatever. It's just like this. Okay. This movie upset me so much for how bad the writing was. It felt like it was written by a teenager. I felt like I rewrote The Crow when I was 16 years old, trying to make it more my story, and it just... they all said it fucking correctly. It's so incoherent.
Well, it's incoherent. It feels, and maybe it's because it's like, once you find out it was started in 2008 and then it went through all these hands, it really does feel like people are kind of picking points that they liked. Because even then, there's this whole idea that there's this really incriminating video.
Yeah.
And you're watching the video and you're like, when you finally get to see what it is and it's her murdering someone, you're like, okay, that's all well and good.
Yeah.
But it still just looks like Shelley murdered her. It doesn't, even though he's standing there whispering something, it's not like now you're big pact with the devil. I mean,
it's going to be revealed. Oh!
Yeah, like you're kind of like, what is the issue?
And this becomes my question. And also, I'm trying to bank this. I want to explain a point of what this incoherence we keep talking about is, because the beginning of the movie really nails it on what that is. Fuck.
Easy.
Demonic, stabby. This big reveal. I had something to say about that. Shit. Okay. Did you have any more thoughts with that before I get into the incoherence? Maybe it'll come back to me. Okay, so the incoherence of this film. The very beginning, we get this. The reveal. There's a video. Oh no! And
we're all gonna get killed for it because we have this video. Yeah.
And the girl does get kidnapped pretty much for it. and this girl, not Shelly, and then Shelly's like running away and then gets arrested and then sent to a rehab center pretty much. So that means she's been arrested, she's been processed, she's been sent to this place, and
she's been tried, she's been sentenced, then sent.
Yeah.
Then, yeah.
All this stuff, and meets Eric in prison. And then we go back to girl who's been kidnapped like it was last night. Like all of this processing and everything happened in 12 fucking hours, less than. And now big bad guy is with girl who's been kidnapped and gets her to kill her. So I was like,
Zuzi.
what is this?
Right.
Zadie. And I was sitting there, I'm like, this is okay, if this is like the one weird timeline incongruency, whatever, I guess, but this is really not clear on timeline. This doesn't seem very well thought out. I just remembered what I wanted to say before because thinking about that, we don't know if the script that we watched was Rupert Sanders taking something and changing it for his own stuff, or if this is 100% Rupert Sanders writing this. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So like this, because of so much production hell, and which is the incoherence in it. Hey, it's incoherent to know where the fuck they're writing. I know there was some weird stuff with the WGA as well, like writing credits.
Yeah.
But and then another incoherent part is now that after Eric and Shelly break out and nobody seems to be fucking looking for him for some reason.
For a while, it feels
and it's like not even. And when I say nobody, they escaped a facility where they were being imprisoned. Like it's a rehab facility, but for inmates. They cut off their fucking ankle band and escape through a window, and they just live a fucking drug-fueled life partying with no consequence. No one looking for them until the bad guys come looking for them, and they're gonna find them. And then it's like, wait a second, how long have they been out? Because then we get this whole idea that they've been together for X amount of time. They're now so in love. Like, it just...
Cocaine's hell of a drug.
How long was I ranting there for a second?
I
went on, man.
I don't know. I closed a couple tabs, reopened, found another
Were
review.
you really even listening to me?
I was.
Okay.
Well, because there's this other review that I remember reading and I wanted to find it because it was in comparison to the 94s. Like, so Rupert Barron wrote this, and I thought that was an interesting point to kind of tie into the timing and just the love story that you're kind of sitting there going, I don't really get it. But the 94 film's characters were more vehicles upon which to project outside feelings about grief rather than individuals one could actively grieve for. So that is an area with room for improvement. Alas, almost every other decision made in this remake actively works against the principles of a good drama, good entertainment, and good messaging.
Yeah.
So, because even that right there. So the 94, if you were to take the characters, and the comparison is actually because, in theory, Eric Draven is this Eric. Again, not the same last name, but we're going to just assume that this Eric is that Eric. Or, different timeline Eric.
Yes.
And it's like that. If you put all the 94 characters up on a wall and kind of really write down, they are very two-dimensional, very basic. But it's because of that it is the vehicle, like this person said, it's the vehicle that we're learning. With this, they put them up there and they wanted us to think that they were more in depth than they really are. But you're sitting there kind of like, you're not, though. You're really not that deep. And it's also maybe that's now that we're older, we're looking at this whole situation. If we were in our 20s, it might have been a little bit more. Because there's still a part of me that's very attracted to that. Getting super fucked up high and going to the lake and, no consequences, youth kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I still get it. I still get the...
Well, I get that, for any audience to watch that and be like actually feel an emotional connection with that.
Yeah, I mean, also they fucked up the murder, in my opinion.
They did fuck... Well, I think they were trying not to be
as brutal as
triggering is.
Well, yeah, but
mean, it's
so
fucking brutal.
It's so traumatic that it keeps your soul from
Yeah.
going to the afterlife.
Exactly.
You need to make it really traumatic, and the 94 one is really fucking traumatic.
Yeah.
Not only what happens to her, I'm not going to say it on here because I don't want to have to censor or anything or bleep it or trigger warning. But what happens to her is not great.
No.
And then he's shot like 6 times and thrown out of a fucking window.
Yeah.
Then he plummets to his death. And then he wakes up out of the grave, has to dig himself out of a grave.
It's a great song playing.
And is like, what the fuck happened? And then just has to figure it out with his friendly little raven.
Crow.
Well, I know. The raven sounds better because his name is Draven. Anyways. With this friendly little raven con at him that he can like look through the eyes of, which was cool. And that's what it is too. I think a big fucking mistake in this movie, especially from an IP that is so old, is the spoon feeding thing. The
God, yeah.
The cool thing about the 94 one is the mystery behind it. You don't really understand why he's back. You understand the idea of why he's back, but there is no explanation to why. It is because it is magic.
Yeah, it's the crow.
It's the crow. And you're like, cool, whatever.
Well, and it's also his resurrection scene is like really, it's confusing for the audience, but confusing for him too.
And that's what it is. And that's it. Really, the 94 one really sells trauma. It is traumatic, and it is to his very core. And, he even comes out and his, all the bullet holes are scarred up, and it's really dated now, but even the scenes of his flashbacks with Shelley is you don't really get to meet them much as a couple. You only get it through his broken memories of them together.
But which is also what the graphic novel does.
But it lets you sit as the vehicle. It lets you put yourself in that position.
But it is actually so much. It's easier, I think, as an audience member when watching a movie when you're introduced to 2 characters and you're just you're told pretty much they are a happily married couple, or like they are young and in love.
Yeah.
We don't need to see it blossom. We just like, they are young and in love.
Well, because your imagination will fill in the blanks for you.
Exactly.
And that's another thing. I know what it is. It's that also it kind of feels like that we're at a time with writing where we don't trust the audience to put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah.
And so like a lot of stuff is really spoon fed to you, and it's like the 94 one is really like fill in the gaps. They're in love. They're young.
It's interesting as you
They're
think
living
about
this
that,
shitty city.
And for today, like the difference between a really good writing and not good writing, like we were talking about the Licorice Pizza episodes back, where it's like we don't need her to be him. Like he needs a chaperone, and then you see I forget her name on the plane with him.
Yeah.
It's like, she's 25. She can come with me. She can be my adult chaperone. The audience can just put that together.
Right.
In this, it's like, and then you have the powers. The crows come and they resurrect you.
Yeah, like, and that. Well, there's the 2 points I want to make. There's that when they finally introduced this idea of the crow harboring spirits. I think I nailed them. Like, you're introducing this concept way too fucking late in the game.
Yeah. Because we're only 30, 40 minutes into the movie?
We're I think we're an hour in, because that's when the shift over to the crow started.
I looked at the time, it was like, we're 52 minutes in.
Yeah. So it's like an hour into it, you're finally explaining what the crow is, when in the other one, it was very early on just to let us sit with it for a minute. And then when it happens, you're like, okay, well, this is what they're talking about.
Because they spent too much time trying to introduce how Eric and Shelley met and fall in love.
Yeah.
As opposed to just like, they are already in love. And that's, again, like what makes the first, that OG one, like you care, because you're just like, you're told.
Yes.
They are in love.
And then from what you do as an audience member is you fill in the gaps from your own experiences or your own feelings. And that's what they're doing. It's not lazy writing. It's simple writing so that you will fill in the story with your own personal emotions. So then you become invested in when they're dead.
It's letting the audience find the connection versus doing too much as a writer. And they did too much as a writer at the beginning of this one.
Well, then also, and this, they that's really what it is. They just didn't nail this feeling of trauma. Like, even when there's moments, like Eric in this is every time he gets murdered, basically, he has flashes of kind of the same thing with Eric in the original one. But like, what was interesting about the original one is that since he died, more of his flashback memories are of her. and her trauma because she didn't come back.
Yeah.
Not explained, but that's how I took it. But when things are happening and he's getting flashes, it's of her pain because that's what is keeping this.
It's what's driving him.
It's what's keeping this undead form alive is his drive to avenge her.
Yes.
And so he sees her pain, he feels her pain, and that's his whole thing. And this one, it becomes the hero complex of, well, if I sacrifice my soul, I'll bring her back to life.
Well, and he will stay invincible as long as his love remains pure.
Yeah, you're like, get the fuck out of here.
And then he sees her murder somebody from the demonic dude, and now he's questioning his love.
Yeah.
So now he has to sacrifice his soul to save hers with a pact with
whoever the fuck
this dude is.
Train guy.
Yeah. Sneaky
Sneaky train
I got
guy.
your soul.
Yeah, like I thought there was going to be some big reveal that he was actually the demon overlord guy.
Oh, the one that made the pact
playing
with
both sides.
with rich white dude. What was his name? Who's that character?
No, but then also
I just realized I don't even know the character's name.
Vincent.
Fuck that.
It is? Do you not believe me?
no.
Or, like, it sounds like you don't believe me. No, well, even that too. There's this whole thing of like the big bad guy wants to get this undead guy, and you're like, why? He collects souls.
Yeah.
Is this like the ultimate soul? But then there you go. So there's this whole. That's what it is, and this is the unbalancing act they're doing. It's like they're giving us so much information and spoon feeding us plot point, and then when it comes to actually something to get us invested on at least what the villain's point of view or what he's doing is, they don't tell us anything. They gave us nothing to explain why he's doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
All we do know is that he makes innocents kill themselves. So their soul goes to hell. So he'll stay immortal and won't go to hell. That's the idea. But then he finds out about this crow thing, and he kind of alludes that he knows something about these guys, these crow undead motherfuckers, because he's been alive for centuries. And then he wants them. You're like, okay, cool. Why do you want them?
I don't know if he wants him anymore. He wants to stop it because he knows he can stop him. You know.
No, but then he does the whole ritual thing of sucking up his blood and his eyes become black. Right. So he wants him. There's some kind of power he can get from him, maybe to break his own contract or whatever. Never explained, not even alluded to for us, like we were just saying, to fill in the gaps.
Yeah.
At least you can fill in the gaps, but it's a real fucking shot in the dark. Like, here we go. I guess that's what he's doing.
What a bad movie.
It's something I don't know. To me, it's like Venom or Morbius. I'd put it on in the background.
Those are much better than this movie.
But I think it's the same kind of bullshit. Like, I find them very similar.
I want to say much better. They're better than this movie.
They're similar in aesthetic and, like Morbius
is pretty fucking bad.
Morbius
is awful.
I liked Morbius. Again, it's like a background popcorn movie. I don't think it to be nominated for nothing, but I enjoy it.
Yeah, it's such an aesthetic-driven cash money grab.
Yes. Spend money to make money.
Yeah. And it did not make any money.
Nah, I made some money.
No.
It made money.
No.
They got clauses and stuff for this. But
oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Because like budget to like box office, no. This was one of the like almost the biggest box office disappointment of last year.
Yeah, I mean, well, it was worst remake, ripoff, or sequel pending the 2025 Golden Raspberry Awards.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Are you looking at it?
FK Twigs was nominated for worst supporting actress.
I don't think she was that bad.
No, it goes like that review I read to you. She, and that's what it is. I don't know. She feels more like the vehicle.
She's a very shallow, one-dimensional character.
They all are, though.
They all are, yeah.
That's what I'm saying, though. But it's like she
sits down next to him at the place, and he's like, they don't want us fraternizing with intergender or whatever. She's like, yeah, I know. And he's like, oh, okay. I'm Machine Gun Kelly. I'm making Fox.
Yeah, it just there wasn't. I don't know. There just really wasn't enough room to care. And I think that's what it is. I really think that I think that we nailed it. It's like they explained so much of this love story to us that it gave us too much grounded kind of like we've seen it to now it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
As opposed to Shelley and Eric, and the other one was so loosey-goosey that, you could, let's say you're a straight woman, you could see yourself in the position of, I got murdered and he he avenged me, or then you're the guy and you could put yourself in the position of I came back and I'm gonna, you know what I mean? It's like the point is like, especially for revenge movies, is to put yourself this kind of lizard brain into your head of like, what would I do?
Yeah.
Someone kills my kid, what am I gonna do? You know, that's
I mean, hero complex shit can go with that as well.
yeah, but like that's kind of what you're sitting with.
I just remembered the worst part of this entire movie.
Wait, let me guess. Wait. Give me like 10 seconds. The worst part of the entire movie. The full bathtub.
No, that was just weird. That was just like, why is this bathtub full?
See, I told you he was gonna have a him day.
It's like, where are the candles?
And then fucking Eric had to ruin it and get him shot in the head.
Where are the candles and the lotion?
He didn't get to that point yet because Eric showed up and ruined it. It's spa day.
The worst part of the entire fucking movie,
Huh.
when she wakes up like time is reset.
Oh, fuck it. What? Thank you. I was going to be pissed if we forgot to talk about that. What the fuck was that?
What the hell? Like, none of this
It was all just a overdose dream.
Yeah, right? She's imagining that he came back and saved her soul from what? Yeah,
I was really hoping for, but at the same time, we're getting the crappy voiceover from Bill, Eric,
and he still has the tattoo. Oh, the completed tattoo he did, because did you see that?
Yeah,
like that's how we know that it did happen. Actually,
yeah.
Like what?
That was such a weird ending.
What the fuck?
That was very bizarre.
Like, I give it a 1.
Well. And it's just like in Brandon Lee, like, you know, granted he passed away, so we never really got to see, him act a lot.
Yeah.
And there's moments in the original one that I think it could just also be age, you know, it could have just not aged well. But Brandon Lee was really scary.
Yeah.
In his, like, he had really great moments. Like, that's what I'm thinking of. I'm like that scene when he's like removing the heroin from the mom's arm, and he's like, "Mother is the word for God on the lips of all that kind of shit." This real fucking emo poetic dude. I'm like, shut the fuck up, Crow.
Some Joy Division lyrics.
Yeah, you know, some Cure shit. I'm just like, shut up. Go to her. That kind of shit, you know. But then like right before that, he's like, he puts the gun, hand on the barrel and is like, got me dead to rights, and it blows off his hand, and then he starts laughing and looking through the hole and like, woo, like that.
Yeah.
Like you're like, goes from that and the stupid scene, but that you're like, okay, this is pretty cool, or like, he's getting shot while telling the joke, and he's got this cool energy, and Bill almost kind of got there in that final John Wick scene where he's just like going balls to the wall
with the Wakizashi.
Yeah, and like killing people with the sword and like yippee-ki-ying it and shooting through himself. Yeah. Like that shit was cool. Like that was the only time I was like, all right, this is pretty cool, because it had that Deadpool thing of like, this character's immortal, let's play with the limitations of the body.
Yeah.
Which you kind of wanted more, like when he got hit by the truck, and I was like, you're hit by the truck. It's kind of like, that's what you're like, that was the whole thing about Wolverine and Deadpool.
Yeah.
Is you wanted to see two people that are immortal go at it and just ruin each other, and that's kind of the fun of it, And there's like one scene in this whole movie where they really utilize that, and that was like fun, but it wasn't anything like.
It was really the best scene in the entire movie.
And it was
best sequence.
It was really John Wick if he didn't ever. I mean, I guess he doesn't ever really die. Well, you know what I mean.
If he was immortal.
If he was, had Wolverine powers, but it's just like he just had these moments where he became the Crow, right? With the makeup and everything, which I'm also like, I'm really sick and tired of that makeup making a comeback, because it is so specific to the original Eric and Shelley that like every movie they make it where they try to bring it back and make it have the same significance, it feels really pandering.
It was like the third one, I think I was reading that it was actually scarred on his face.
Yeah.
He didn't actually have the makeup. He put makeup on.
Yeah. Well, because then, like, the second one, it's fine, because in the second one, it's Sarah that finds this new Crow.
Yeah.
And realizes what he's going through, and then she does the makeup in honor of Eric.
That's right. Yeah.
And you're like, okay, there's an actual connection, but then they just start slapping this makeup on everybody, which I get it. It's the Crow, I understand.
Maybe when you become the Crow, there's a compulsion to white your face, black your eyes, and do lines.
Like, I don't know. But he becomes the Crow, and then he just becomes, I'm serious now. And then there's that whole conversation with Vincent at the end of, would she even want to be with you? Would she even recognize you? And you're like, Vincent has a point, because I don't fucking recognize you. What the fuck is going on in this movie? Who are you? What changed? Like, I don't know. It feels very disjointed from beat to beat to beat to beat to beat to beat.
Incoherent. That was the word I was trying to find all night last night.
Yeah, it's very incoherent. And then it's kind of a thin line that we're talking about when we're talking about the audience, giving them credit of the doubt to fill in gaps. But like, this is a prime example of where you kind of filled in. You wanted us to fill in the gaps at bad points like that. Like, how long were they together and out and about? Well, long enough for him to get a tattoo.
Yeah. And
for it to heal entirely. So that could be a few weeks. That could be 6. What? How long does a tattoo take to heal? I don't remember anymore. I haven't gotten one in so long. 6 weeks?
I mean, completely heal?
Yeah.
Yeah, about 6 weeks. But I mean, it can be fine after like 2 to 3.
Yeah, like I guess it depends on person to person.
Yeah.
But let's just say so all right, so the tattoo freshly healed, 6 weeks to 6 months. We're somewhere, and that's our window that we're been in, and you're kind of like, well, how
have they not been hunted down yet?
Or just like, are we still in that honeymoon lustful phase? Like, because they've been high and drunk this whole time.
You play the piano. It triggers me. Whoa. But that would be, I kind of self-explained myself out of this one, but it really bothered me that he was like, he asked her to play the piano. He's like, you're much better at it than I am. And then it talks about how she can't play the piano because of this horrible thing
that her mom made her do.
Yeah. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, well, I'm like, how has he ever fucking heard her play piano then? How does he know she's better than him? Well, maybe she has some recordings. She is a, fucking musician. So I was like, okay, maybe that was the thing. But even still, how is this now just coming up?
Well, it's like, I think I made a good point too. I didn't like how this whole situation really trickled out into everyone's lives. That's what I like. And I didn't think about that until watching this one and being like, well, the original one is really an isolated incident, which makes it really cool and very personal feeling. It's only the people that were involved with that couple, whether it be their murder or their lives, that are involved in this murder and mayhem. I guess you could argue at the very, very end when he goes to fight the bad guy and kills all of his henchmen, but I don't really count that. I mean, like, the people we meet, there's the pawn shop owner. He's the one that bought their wedding rings, knowing very well that these fuckers kill people and bring all their shit they steal to him.
Yeah.
It's there's all the very level of intimate. You are involved in this, and this, when he walks out with the severed heads of those two people and throws at the audience that, unless they're somehow involved in this criminal empire,
it's almost like, fuck your high society, and it's like, for what?
Yeah, it's very.
I don't like the high society either. But what's your?
I just wanted to go to the opera. Like, yeah,
Jared Leto's fucking Joker.
Yeah, it's very, some people just want to watch the world burn kind of thing, and I was just like, that's not the
that's
Crow.
Not Eric Draven. That's not the Crow.
That's not what the Crow's doing.
It's about revenge.
Yeah. It's about finding peace. It's about dealing with your grief through brutal murder.
I will do to you what you did to me.
Yeah, it's very eye for an eye revenge story, and this just really, and that's what I mean. I really just think that and with that woman, what was her name again?
The second one?
Shannon Miller. Elizabeth Shannon Miller. What she said really nailed on the head. It's like, something like this, I don't think you can remake it unless you have a point that you're trying to make.
Why now? Why this? Why now?
Like, if you have a point, an actual purpose behind you want to make a movie about grief. Granted, it's an action revenge movie, but the point of the movie is grief.
Yeah.
It's like, like The Substance last week. There was a point to the movie.
You could really take the Crow out of this and just call it Resurrected. And not even worry about it. The powers come from a crow or anything like that.
It's almost detrimental to have the Crow on this. It's kind of the video game thing that we're talking, the slapping the title of.
It's how I felt about the remake of Child's Play.
Yeah, it's like you're kind of, by putting The Crow as the title on this, you actually probably really hurt because people are going in for some, but that's the audience's problem too.
Yeah.
Don't go in expecting shit. It's not going to be the 94 one. It's not going to be the sequel. It's not going to even, and just think about after the original one, just think about the franchise in general. It's not great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same thing as, they're talking about redoing Spawn, and you're like, same fucking thing, dude. Unless you have a good message to say about acceptance and grief. And
I will say one thing with the Spawn one, just really quick, is that first Spawn movie is garbage. And 2, it is. It's bad. It's very, very
I don't know,
bad.
John is pretty great.
Oh, the guy that plays Spawn?
No, the fucking...
Oh, John League was... He's great. Yeah, no. There's parts of it that are fun. Like, The Violator is fun in that. But that movie is not good. It is not a good movie. Trust me. I rewatched it enough times.
Get your point.
And this new one is 100% helmed by Todd McFarlane, and he has 100% creative control.
Okay.
So I feel like we could get a more honest adaptation of Spawn. This, which weirdly, with James O'Barr, the creator of it, had creative consultants. Like maybe he did earlier, and this one he just kind of lost his interest.
Yeah.
Because that's what confused me reading about the production history was how, if your comic book creator is a creative consultant, how did this get made? At some point, he would just kind of was like, yeah, it's The Crow, but I don't care anymore.
Or it's just you don't really, at a certain point, the movie just comes out. The amount of times we've heard about people being like, yeah, I went to see it, and it was really different than what I thought we were doing. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, they'll show you, it's not saying it's deceitful, but they'll show you what they think is going to make it, and then they decide last minute not to going to, and they put it together, and then it's like, oh, well, that sucked.
Because, this had, like, some underground hype when it was being, produced, and then we got our first still of Bill Skarsgård. People were a little like, okay, that's interesting. Let's see where it goes. And then it came out, and it just, like, kind of got swept under the rug.
Well, then that's another thing, too. Like, that still of Bill Skarsgård. I think that that whole scene really kind of puts it into...
It misleads you into what you're getting too.
No, well, like that scene, like when he's looking at it and then he grabs the sword, his friend's, I guess, usable,
actual
sword,
authentic.
It's like I've owned swords, but I'm not going to take it to a gunfight. I don't think that's probably going to work very well, but whatever. But and he's doing his checking himself. He's checking himself out in the mirror, and then he stabs the reflection for what he's become or whatever, and it just feels very juvenile. It feels very like, look at me.
Like your 16, 17-year-old self who really liked The Crow.
I'm The Crow.
Wrote a fanfic if you were The Crow.
I'm The Crow. And you're like, okay. And then you think back to the original, and that scene is really, again, dated. I really want to put, like, because if no one has seen the original, if, they are interested in this story, if they're younger and just missed it or whatever, I really think that people should watch it. But I want to warn, it is dated, because it's 1994. It is inherently... There's some real 90s music video vibes scenes in there. But even that scene, when he starts doing the makeup to The Cure, now that I think about it, he's putting his makeup on to The Cure.
Isn't it Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me?
I think so. I can't remember what the song is. No. Burn. Burn. Yeah, Burn. It's Burn by The Cure. And he does you see the scars, and he knocks it over, and he's putting on the makeup, and he puts on the jacket, and then he goes to the window where he was thrown out and died, and the crow lands on his shoulder. It is such a great suit-up scene for The Crow, And then you look in comparison, and it's emo, but the thing is, it's not juvenile emo, it's emo.
It's 80s leather emo.
Yeah, it's fucking emo. And it's just, and again, I'm trying to make sure it's not my age, but I think a lot of people would agree with me. It's really cheesy and cheeky, but it's like, like, let's go. And this one, you're like, it was cringy. And the samurai sword is stab in the mirror.
It makes me wonder how much we're showing our age with that, though, because like, is it cringy because we just because that was connecting to kind of like a younger generation of a time. We talked about like this is kind of like the younger generation's Crow in a way. You know what I mean? It's not a good movie still, but like
I still would think, I don't know. I kind of want to ask around if you're younger, and I'm really curious though, because it's like I think it's just cringy. Like I'm only 32. I'm not that old yet. And I've worked with a lot of youngins, and it just feels really cringy. It just in the sense of, it feels, know what it feels like? Actually, I think this is what it is. People our age, which these people are, that wrote it and directed it
are trying
to that's what it feels like.
I thought about that as well. Yeah,
it's like this is what the kids like, right? And you're kind of like, I mean, some of them like
the ones we don't like.
Well, do you remember how the original Crow was received when it came out?
It wasn't like super popular.
So was it was like age? Did it like people kind of?
It became an underground hit.
Okay.
Like because also you got to think at that when it's coming out, that aesthetic is super counterculture. As well.
Yeah. So that's why then the counterculture.
Now counterculture became popular through the 90s.
Well, but at this point, counterculture people are like, holy shit, they made a movie about us basically. So okay, because obviously I was 2 when the first one came out, so
I was like 8.
So I don't.
94, right?
Yeah, 94.
Yeah, like 8.
But yeah, so it's just like, I think that's a great, if you take the two, and that's especially for, at the end of the day, this is a superhero movie. It's a weird way to think.
I would say comic book movie rather than superhero.
It's a superhero movie. He's a superhero. You shoot him in the head and he
potato,
gets back up. Potato, tomato, is that what he used to say?
Potato.
No, that's what he used to, potato, tomato?
I can't remember. I'm just saying potato.
Chest of drawers. Fucker.
Narnia? What?
Stupid head. Captain Butthead.
I know.
Oh, okay.
But you said chest of drawers?
That's what he says. An ice box.
Oh.
Haha, yeah. 1950s called it. I get the words back. It's stupid.
You get apparently that out of the ice box.
It's pretty, I guess, common over there.
Is that a common Hawaiian thing?
I think so. Oh. That's what they say. I'm like, I don't know. I don't talk to enough of
Yeah, they're far from the mainland. They don't know what we.
Yeah, it's chest of drawers and ice box. Anyways, I got really upset for a second. What was I saying? Oh, okay, yeah.
We need to start wrapping this up.
Yeah. Okay, my last point is just that if you take the 2 scenes of the suit up, the superhero suit up, I think you can tell a lot about the movie because of the way the suit up goes.
Yeah.
And I think that those scenes really are a great indication of what the movies are. The 94 one, it's really cheesy and kind of dated now, and so is the whole movie, but it still has this heart to it and this kind of, you give a shit.
Yeah, but if it's also very accurate. For that time, it's not as cheesy.
No, but I'm saying now. I know, but I'm saying now in 2025,
Yeah, but again, why? It's not cheesy then. This now. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah.
Because I'm...
What?
It was cheesy. It's cheesy.
Yes.
1994 is cheesy.
Yes.
And now this one.
But it gives it the identity. Even throughout the movie, this has those cheesy moments. And then this one is cringy. And then... The suit up scene is cringy, and then a lot of the movie is actually really, really cringy.
Yeah.
Like the scene you said where she's sitting down at the table and is like, I like to eat my dessert first.
Yeah.
You're like, get the fuck out of here.
But with you saying it's like for like it's this one's cringy. This what was the fucking first word you said for 1994? Not cringy.
Cheesy.
Cheesy. But cheesy and cringy, very similar in vibe. At that time when 94 comes out, that doesn't really feel cheesy. It feels very much that's the aesthetic for the filmmaking at that time.
That's okay.
The aesthetic of filmmaking now, it's just flat out cringy and cheesy.
Well, that's actually, there you go. I think that's a good way of actually separating the two. Things that are appropriate at the time, like that, will become cheesy because it became dated.
Yes.
It became
yes.
Yada, yada, yada. Cringy is just kind of cringy.
Yeah.
Like even moments in the 80s that were cringy are still cringy today because even then you're like, oh shit, that didn't age well.
Yeah.
But like that whole scene, it was just, with the music and and then it became cheesy over time.
There was a fun emotional response with it then.
Yeah.
And now when you watch it happen in this one, you're like, there's no fun emotional response.
No.
Just kind
and
of
it's just cringy. And it's like, I think cringy is always cringy. Things become cheesy.
Yeah.
And so it's like at the time, that's
where I was agreeing with you, but I was like trying to make this different separation.
It's like, that's cringy will always be cringy. 2024. This became cheesy, but it still has this like, it has this.
There's a nostalgia to it.
Yeah. This 90s vibe to it that you're like, yeah, okay.
It's
cool.
cheesy because it's 90s.
Yeah.
It's cringy because it's cringe.
Yeah. Because it's a bunch of old guys writing for 22-year-olds.
You're giving me the ick.
Yeah. It's very ick. That it's like, shut the fuck up. Just go kill him. Can you? Well, even then,
milady.
Well, even with that whole intro to
I think I'm gonna go
that,
save her soul from hell,
milady. Well, even that, it's like, it's really terrible when you start like, you're sitting there and you're like, can she get murdered already so we can just get to the so we can get to the crow? Yeah, like. And it's like, I know she has to die to get to that, and I don't really want to root for the main character.
One final thought with that, and then we need to wrap up. I feel like also a big thing that hurt this movie is that they wrote this movie as if, or almost in the sense of like the knowledge of what the Crow story is.
Like we know.
Yeah, the audience already knows who the Crow is. So let's tell the story of Eric and Shelley.
Like
And-
as opposed to writing it for people.
Yeah.
Do you think just as a general rule, you should... I mean, I think this, I'm just curious if you agree, you always assume they have no idea what the fuck you're talking about?
You should always write as if it's a fresh new idea.
Yeah.
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 You should never assume that your audience...
Well, but what about like Spider-Man?
Oh, yeah. I was just about to say the only exception might be in continuances of superhero stuff.
I was like, when you're on your third reboot, like maybe
Yeah.
it's fine.
No, I mean, I see what you mean. Yeah, because
Yeah,
like with
yeah,
Tom
right?
Holland, we don't even get his origin story.
Like-
But they bring up his origin story. But it also like, kind of goes to show how much do you really need to see the origin of a character?
Well, yeah, okay. I think that should be the rule. Like in our lifetime, right? Not our parents, not in our lifetime, we have seen the origin story of Spider-Man or of Batman 3 times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I think it's enough. I think we can just skip the whole, we know.
I mean, they did that with the Batman too.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I think that's the only time you can assume is that if there are 3 separate
But
movies.
you also need to find a balance between skipping that origin story and still kind of telling what the origin
Yeah.
is in the script.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, I don't think we need to see Uncle Ben die again. I don't think we need to.
No, because we saw fucking Aunt May die instead.
Yeah, there you go.
Way to make it your own IP, you know? Or
Yeah.
not IP, but...
Do you ever actually know what happens to Ben in that?
No, they never bring it up.
He's just not in the picture for whatever reason.
I mean, it is he passed, but they never really talk about
Yeah.
how, why, or what.
Okay, let's rate it. What?
A 1.
You want to give it a 1?
I give it.
Sure.
Yeah. You no argument.
I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I just don't care.
You're the one that wanted so much to have these ratings, and you just
Yeah.
so passively just say
the last
don't care.
the last
Just
couple
don't
times.
care.
It's been like the last 2. What are you talking about? I argued for licorice pizza, and I argued for Saltburn. The substance, I said it wasn't really for me, and I don't think it was for me, so I didn't care. And this movie sucked. Who cares?
Give it a 0.
No zeros. It's there. It exists.
Ooh, would you? I don't think this needs to happen, but a 0.5. Do you think we'll ever get to a 0.5?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so.
This is definitely a 1.
I was gonna go with a 1.5 just for visual and music because I thought that was great, but that's such a
I was thinking
Cop out.
I was thinking the same thing. It's just like at some point the movie is so bad that even no matter how like visually captivating some moments might be and how cool your shit looks,
yeah.
it's still a piece of shit.
Well, that's the thing. It's like how much weight are you going to give to visuals and music? Because if you are making a movie that is about visuals and music,
Yeah.
if it's about atmosphere and stuff, then sure, that's great. That's not what this is about. This movie is about grief and revenge, and you fucked up the two,
trauma, yeah.
the 3 main points: grief, trauma, revenge, and you didn't make a very It's like it looks cool, but it sucks when it comes to the It's like, I don't know, like Holy Mountain, is a real fucking artsy fartsy weird movie. So a lot of that is the atmosphere and music. That's what the point of that movie is a lot of just the visual representation.
This should be called The Catfish because it's not what you're expecting.
But it's like
It's bad.
It
Like
don't-
that joke.
it only it doesn't carry it enough. So cool. All right, 1 out of 5.
1. Rough.
What? Just I'm curious. I just want to write it down here just for reference in case we ever do it. What would you give the Crow? Just for the original '94 Crow?
Just off top of my head, like a 3.
A 3.
It's just Okay.
Just in case we one day review it, I want to be able to go back to this and be like, what did we give it then? But yeah, so to pick people.
Did we agree on next week? I think we did.
Yeah, the Tom Hanks one.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. That was a flop. Interesting.
Yeah, it didn't do well.
That was Zemeckis too, isn't it?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah. I want to say yeah.
So yeah, what is it? I don't remember. Here. So yes, we are going to continue with our box office flop.
And we might continue farther into it. We just need to figure some stuff out.
I don't like using the word flop because I don't really believe in the box office thing that much anymore. Poorly received. Let's change it to that. Poorly received film block.
Poorly flopped.
But yeah, we're gonna do. What year was that? 2024.
That was 2024 last year.
Wow, we're just getting through a lot of 2024.
We kind of said I thought that was what we maybe I misinterpreted what you said.
I just said new. Like I meant the last like 3-4
And then
years.
I looked up 2024 box office flops.
And that's what we turned into. That's fine. So yeah, we're gonna do Here, which is Tom Hanks and
Robin Wright.
Robin Wright. Right.
It's all three back together from Forrest Gump.
I'm gonna hate it. That's my prediction. No, I thought the concept. I like.
I really like the concept.
That's the thing. I want to kind of start doing this at the end of the episode, just kind of get our initial, like, just off the top of our head, especially for things we've never seen.
Yeah.
I think it's a really interesting concept. I think it's gonna be dog shit.
We'll see.
I really do.
I think I'm gonna cry.
Yeah. Well, you're an easy cry though.
That's all right. Fine.
And then the
I
actors.
think I'm gonna laugh.
The actors that pulled up on Connect the Stars was Willem Dafoe and Kate Winslet. That feels like it might be too easy.
Yeah.
Skip
I
it.
agree with
Skip
that.
both or just skip one.
Both.
Okay. Tessa Thompson to Halle Berry.
Tessa Thompson is Valkyrie, right?
Yeah.
To who?
To Halle Berry. I think there's an age gap enough in there too.
Yeah.
Let's just try that one.
Yeah.
Cool.
Remember, don't play it right now, Jacob. Don't play it right now.
To Halle. Okay, so if you guys can think of a connection between the two, Tessa Thompson and Halle Berry, put it in the comments, and we'll. I mean, have we really gotten anyone? Has anyone commented a winner, or have you got? You usually win them. Have you gotten to the shortest?
David's beat me a couple times.
Oh, then
Or at
we
least
should start.
once.
We got our. Okay, we'll start reading.
Well, the thing is
The
that
winner.
yeah, but it's like we're weeks away.
Yeah,
from
as
it. It's a hard separation.
Yeah, as I said it, I realized that it's not going to work.
Yeah.
But yeah, put it in your comments. So yeah, Tessa Thompson to Halle Berry.
Oh, Albert's beating us.
Yes, I remember that. I remember Albert's in that. Join us next week for another episode of Poorly Received with 2024's Here. This was our review of 2024's The Crow, which we gave a 1 out of 5, which is the lowest we've given in a long time.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what else, like maybe Ultraviolet. I mean, we weren't even rating at that point.
No. Oh, there's a 1.5. What was 1.5? But so yeah, join us next week. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook to see what's coming. Oh, Aragon. I forgot we did it. That was bad. That was really bad. But yeah, so follow us on Facebook and Instagram. On there will be all of our posts on what's coming up in the following weeks. Like, comment, share with your friends. We are a self-produced podcast, so any reviews or comments are greatly appreciated. This is Tommy.
This is Jacob.
This is Tommy and Jacob's Mixtape. See you next week.
Clockwork Orange. That was the name of the movie I was trying to say.
Oh, you couldn't remember what the movie was? I thought you were just being difficult.